Happy August, everyone, or as I like to say, Happy New Year, because it is a new year. We are officially in the 2026-27 application season. So, congrats, we've made it. This is what you've been waiting for. And I'm going to give you just a quick, brief overview of everything that you can focus on this month to get you started with the college admissions process. As a reminder, if you are planning on taking any SAT or ACT exams this fall, now is the best time to register. With the August exam, in particular for the SAT, this date tends to fill up very quickly, and there are also limited locations. So you want to jump on that registration sooner than later. September is only a couple weeks after, which is very nice. If you are prepping for the SAT in general, you can take two back to back. Also, check your school to find out if they are hosting a school day SAT specifically for seniors. Typically that happens in October, so that could give you an additional testing date. Now with any of these exams, whether it's the SAT or ACT, the early ones typically will get your scores back to you in time for any of the early deadlines. So you just want to double check with the schools that you're applying to when the materials are due. So the materials meaning test scores, any other supporting documents, what is the last date to turn those in, and that'll help you decide which exams you can sign up for, or if you are applying for the regular decision round, you have even more time because those deadlines typically aren't until the new year. Now that the college applications are open, and specifically referring to the common application, which you can use to apply to over 1,200 different schools, here are some things to kind of keep you on track and keep you headed in the right direction. One is work on the My Common Application tab first. That is the common section that will go to all colleges that you are applying to. So once you have finished that, any other colleges that don't have additional supplemental requirements, those are very easy to get out because the applications at that point will be pretty straightforward. So that is always my first recommendation, is work through that My Common Application tab. Secondly, you will want to add colleges to the My Colleges tab in that dashboard. This is a good idea to do now so that you can quickly browse through them, see what different supplemental requirements might be there. Some colleges announce them ahead of time, but sometimes the first you're hearing about them will be now when you dig into the application. So kind of just cruise through those, see if you see any writing supplements that will be required, potentially any extra opportunities. Sometimes you'll see that colleges may allow you to, say, upload a resume, for example. So just see what each school is asking of you. When you get to at least one of the colleges in your list and you go into it, it is going to prompt you to sign the FERPA waiver and to invite your recommenders. You only have to do this one time in Common Application, and it will save it for all of the schools that you're applying to. But you want to make sure that you waive your rights. So that is essentially saying that you are okay not seeing your recommendation letters, which is what you want. You don't want to show any bias in the process. And also that you are okay with the schools sending your personal documents, which are your transcripts, to the colleges. So just make sure you take care of that right away. Now, in terms of inviting recommenders, some of you will be using a kind of third-party system. Some of these might sound familiar when I say them, like School Links, Maya Learning, Score, Naviance. If your school uses those, you may be inviting your recommenders through those, and it will link over to the Common App. If not, you might be inviting your recommenders directly through the Common App to upload your letters. Again, you won't be able to see them, but this is how the colleges will be able to receive those PDF versions of the letters that have been written. You want to also finish your main essay, otherwise known as the personal statement. This is what will go to pretty much every college unless they just don't accept it, but this is the main essay that is found in that My Common Application tab that you want to get done first, because again, that will complete that section and allow you to move very quickly with the other schools that don't have many other extra requirements. Then you can shift your focus to working on the supplemental essays. go through and kind of make a little map for yourself of all the different questions that you're going to have to answer for the different types of schools, and start strategizing in what order you might want to answer them, maybe some prompts that are similar to one another that you could work on at the same time, but that will be your next step in the process. And then the other thing is just keep an eye out for, they're called direct admission offers. This happens through the Common App, where schools have set certain criteria kind of behind the scenes, and when they view parts of your main Common application, if you meet the criteria, you may log into your Common App and just see an offer from a school, which essentially will say, we think you would be a great candidate, you preliminarily meet our requirements, and so long as you fill out the application, sometimes they waive the fee, or maybe even some of the requirements like the essay or the rec letters, you will be admitted. And so that can be a fun way to kind of lock in some early offers. So again, that is called the direct admission offers. Start connecting with schools, right? You want to get out there, schedule some visits, attend some open houses so that you can get a feel. This can be especially helpful if you have colleges that require supplemental essays that you're going to have to write, especially if they're asking you, why do you want to come to our school? It'll help you get some good perspective. Schedule any interviews that may be required. If you are doing any sort of performing art type of major, schedule an audition if it's required. Attend virtual events. If you can't get somewhere in person, that is completely okay. In this day and age, there are so many ways that you can connect with colleges, and virtual events are just one of them. Visiting in your area, so many schools travel throughout the fall to connect with students just like yourself. They might come to your high school, they might be just in your area doing more of a regional fair. Sometimes there's big state fairs in your area. So again, just check. One way to check is, again, if you're using one of those third-party platforms like Naviance or Score, Maya Learning, there may be alerts in there of who's visiting your school or who will be in your area. The other way is just go on to the college's website and see what their travel schedule is. Many of them post it. Also, if colleges measure demonstrated interest in the process, something else that you would want to do, connect with the schools. The way you can find this out is just by going on Google, type in Common Data Set, the school's name. If they use the Common Data Set, you'll be able to open it, go to section C, and in that admissions data, you can find out if they measure demonstrated interest. Another unique opportunity that some schools offer, what is called instant decision days. These are days where you will instantly get a decision. And so you're able to bring a completed app, sit with an admissions officer, and leave knowing a decision for the day. So those are unique, fun opportunities. And again, a great way to secure a decision early on. These are not binding. You would still have until May 1st to make a decision. Now is also time to strategize, right? Like I said, register for any last test dates that you might need. Look over your college list to make sure it is balanced so that you can add more if you need to, and not only balanced in terms of likelihood of admission, but also financially. You want to make sure you have a list that is affordable so that you're not only getting into schools that you just can't afford, because that would leave you with very few options. You also want to strategize your application rounds. Which schools are you going to apply to early? Are you going to do early decision? Can you apply to any schools really early because they have rolling admissions and get some early wins? Are you going to wait for some schools for regular decision? Do you think it would help you to wait because maybe you need more time to take tests or to get more grades from your senior year? So again, strategize when you're going to be applying to colleges. Confirm how documents from your school get to a college. Again, you are going to have to invite a recommender. How are you inviting them? What system does your school use? So connect with your school counselor. Keep a list of deadlines. Colleges are not forgiving when it comes to deadlines. They have deadlines in place. You miss them, they move you to the next round. So I always encourage students, whatever the deadline is, make an internal one for you a couple weeks before so that you avoid anything like a recommendation letter getting there late, test scores being delivered late, because there are going to be a lot of different moving parts. You are only responsible for the application and the essay, but just because you're hitting submit on those doesn't mean you don't need to be communicating with the other pieces that are going to be sent by other people. Things like test scores, transcripts, and every college that you apply to is going to have a different policy in terms of how they are getting those test scores and transcripts. You might need to self-report, you might need to have your school send. So it's going to vary by college, so it's time to get organized. Couple more reminders. You want to review your transcript. Make sure there are no errors, that all of your courses have been listed correctly, that the levels, right? If you're an honors, AP, dual enrollment, if there's anything that is not clear on there, you might think about adding that to your additional information section. But you just want to make sure whatever your transcript looks like does not need corrections before it starts being sent out to colleges. Your senior schedule is reported in the Common App, which means you don't want to apply to colleges until that senior course schedule is finalized, because when the colleges review your application, that is what they are expecting to see later if they ask for first marking period grades, mid-year grades, final grades. And so if you end up changing it, you are going to have to reach back out to the colleges and let them know that you changed schedules and why. Connect with your school counselor when you get back. Find out what your school's policies are for requesting documents. They may have their own internal policies that say you need to come to us X amount of weeks ahead of time, or you need to ask in this manner. So they are going to have their own rules, and you want to make sure you understand what the process is. So again, you are not held back when it is time to get everything in and then something ends up getting there late because you just didn't know. That is it for the month of August. I gave you a lot to think about, but if you have any questions, reach out anytime, and good luck getting started.